Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. We're like a book club for people who hate reading. This month they're in grab bags, so James picked the movie The Quick and the Dead, made in 1995. We did season 1 episode of The Expanse. And this week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan Preston. And this is literally the description of IMDb of Quick and the Dead. Lady Avenger returned to Western Town, owned by a ruthless gunslinger, hosting an elimination tournament.
Can you do that again in a caveman voice?
I could vaguely do it in a really insulting Russian
voice. Save 15% on your car insurance too?
Female gunfighter fights bad man.
I didn't even look at it. No, Lady Avenger returns to Western Town,
and this was
owned by a ruthless gunslinger,
and
hosting an elimination tournament.
And this was apparently the first American movie Russell Crowe starred in.
Oh, really?
Along with 20-year-old Leonardo DiCaprio, who looked like he just turned 13.
Yeah.
Well, he looked like he just turned 13 till he was probably 32.
True.
Closer to 35, I think, but whatever.
My favorite comment was Sharon Stone said kissing Leonardo DiCaprio was about as sexy as kissing my own arm. It was like,
holy shit!
What?
Leo's 42.
To be fair, she was probably in her mid-30s. You know, he's so young. I mean, he was such the teen heartthrob. That's when 12-year-olds loved him.
Yeah, he was the Justin Bieber of the time.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who turned out to be one of the generation.
Every time I see him, I still see the kid from Growing Pains. And then I saw the guy who drowned in Titanic. I'm like, his best acting yet. By the way, you have nobody.
I don't know. I did like him in Daniel Unchained.
I mean, dude. I mean, that's the thing is almost everything that he had done subsequent to Titanic was. I mean, ever since Catch Me If You Can, I've been a fan.
Yeah, I did like Catch Me If You
He
Can.
was amazing in that movie.
Yeah. I've never really been a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan.
Oh,
I did kind of like him in Django Unchained. There hasn't been any movies to me that kind of redeemed him.
Well, I did.
To me,
Departed just sealed the deal for me. Is like, oh, this guy's one of my favorite actors.
Let's not get in the fight for that movie, please.
I was gonna go, but I didn't like Russell Crowe until A Beautiful Mind either. So I thought he was.
This is true. I can agree with that. Interesting fucking fact about DiCaprio: he owns the rights to the HHA Holmes story.
Oh, I hope he doesn't act in it.
Huh. Interesting.
Well, it would I mean, his sensibility over the years, I'd be interested to see if he does something with that in the future.
That could be interesting. I wonder if he's going to be directing or if he's actually going to be starring.
No, see, I think this would be like his directing or producing it. Because I just don't think he could act the role, but I do think he could direct it.
I think he'd be missing a big opportunity if he only went as a producer in the film.
I think he's one of the most prolific character actors that's out there right now, because every person that he does is a very, very unique character. You cannot compare it. It's not Denzel Washington doing the same version of the same guy in 10 different movies, or Sam Jackson
or Liam Neeson, piece of crap.
Yeah, I mean,
it's true. Liam Neeson has played almost the same character since Darkman.
I mean, it's the same thing that Keanu Reeves got stuck with for a long time.
Yeah, basically, but you cannot compare Wolf of Wall Street to Departed or to Titanic or to Catch Me If You Can. It's always these incredibly unique characters that he does.
I will say that there's movies I still think the genres, he's kind of the same character a little bit, or maybe it's just the same style of character, like an action movie to a drama. But
we've never seen DiCaprio do something like Daniel Day-Lewis, or if we look at Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, that really, we don't have that same thing with Leo's career, though.
True.
Well, I mean, I think we get into those Django moments and we start to see shades of it. I mean, it's just because he's played characters that are so larger than life.
You mean kind of like he's been typecasted as far as that goes?
Well, not necessarily typecasted, because again, you can't compare one role to the next, but these big, over-the-top kind of like huge characters, like Wolf of Wall Street or Django when he's going ape shit.
I think he's been really lucky in the movies he's picked because there hasn't been a whole lot of movies. Like, I'm not a big fan of his, but there's no movie that I've seen him in that I'm like,
It's
damn.
complete crap.
Yeah, I mean,
Except for
He doesn't
Titanic.
have duds, for sure. He's very, very prolific.
Well, what was the one where he played the airplane mogul?
Aviator.
Aviator. Thank you.
Aviator, exactly.
I've heard he did a fantastic job, and I'm forgetting the actual guy's
Howard
name.
Hughes.
Thank you. I knew it had 2 H's in it, but I couldn't.
No, it
H.H.
wasn't
Holmes
Howard
kind of
Holmes.
screwed.
It wasn't H.H. Holmes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, anyways, but yeah, I mean
Howard
that's a hard role to play, by the way. And I've heard nothing but fantastic things on it, but it's one of those that I'm saving for us to do here, so I get a fresh aspect. of it. But anyway, predictions, right?
The predictions. I'm gonna give this like a 3.5 out of 5. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. The movie is filled with very typical gunslinger
Casting.
Casting
Characters.
I mean, they're all archetypes of something or
Okay.
another. So these are all characters we've seen or different variants. Overall, it's a good movie. I wouldn't call it overly thrilling. Like, this is, probably the 4th or 5th time I've seen it, so there's nothing in this movie that makes me go, like, edge of my seat moment for me.
Well,
Like Django, for example.
Well, I'm kind of with you on that one. I'm going to give it a 3.5. I've been saving quite a bit of what I want to say about this movie because Ryan have talked a couple times over the past couple days, and it's like I got to bite my tongue because there's things I want to mention about this film. But yeah, you're basically right. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this fit into the action genre that was being pumped out in the late to early 90s and late 80s. This kind of fit right along with that. You're not getting a fresh story. You're getting it chewed up, garbled in under the director's point of view.
But at least this is the director who this is Sam Raimi. So
Yeah.
at least it's a director who at least has a sensibility that I thought pulled this movie off. Because if this was any other director, I think it would have sucked.
No, okay, so now brings me to mine right here. My initial sort of, because I hadn't seen this movie in quite a while, my initial was going to be a 2. Because I didn't have the most fond memories of this movie. The one thing that was about to change that was I had realized it was Sam Raimi. And I'm totally familiar with his sensibilities, but then it occurred to me I shouldn't fucking have to know a director's entire body of work to understand why he made choices the way he did.
I do think he's one of those directors, though.
Well, he is one of those
He's got his own style.
very specific style of voice, And it didn't work with this movie. It was way too comic booky, which works for fucking Spider-Man, but not a Western.
See,
Not Spider-Man 3, guys.
See, I don't think this movie could, because if you take, say, like Unforgiven, probably one of the best Westerns made in the 90s, I don't think it would have worked as a serious movie. I think that the tone of voice for this movie was about as good as you're going to get with the material.
But that's the thing, it was a satire, but he never mentioned that it was a satire. It was never said, it was never out there on Front Street like, hey, by the way, this is like an amalgamation of certain Hollywood genre Western movies. We're all just left thinking, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to watch a Western movie. And I like a fucking good tournament movie as much as the next guy. But the tone of this thing just really throws you for a loop if you don't know what you're expecting.
See, I went into this movie not expecting anything the first time I saw it. And I totally thought it was a comedy. I thought it was hilarious. There was lots of points where I laughed. You had all the archetypal characters that were in any Western film that you can imagine. You had the really bad guy, the bad guy who's going for his redemption. You had the bounty hunter. You had the character that's returning back because their family got killed, which I love. I mean, I've always laughed every single time when the guy from CSI, Gary Sinise is up there and he's like, just aim for the rope, honey. And she freaking nails him perfectly in the head. I mean, I always busted up at that. I thought it was a comedy the entire time.
James,
it is a comedy.
I bust up at things like the daughter accidentally shooting Gary Sinise in the head. That shit was funny. But funny to you and me, and I recognize, like, okay, are these people taking this so seriously. Like it didn't come off to me as a satire. It came off as somebody trying to make a very serious Western movie.
I would say if you,
I
if you-
never thought it. I never took this at all for a serious
I-
Western movie.
I would say if you take,
Ever.
I would say if you
Well,
take
it ain't Sam Peckinpah or Sergio Leone, but it's like the '90s version of like, oh, somebody's trying to rebranch out into the Western genre. What the fuck did I just watch?
I would say if you take
Hilarity.
I would say if you take this as a serious Western movie, then it's very half baked and going off extremely half cocked.
I mean, they have the scene where
To
they're
me-
looking through Gene Hackman's body. How are you guys not laughing at this?
I mean,
Come on.
Well, to me, I always took it as a comedy. I mean, because everything about this movie is over the top and hilarious. Like the first time you really see what Sharon Stone can do, she knocks the chair under the dude off the dude and catches the bottle, and so it's like, okay, this is a comedy because that would never happen in a serious Western.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is in order to do something like that as a parody, you have to have these little a little bit more of a tell.
Okay.
You know.
Well, your comment last week not last week, but when I picked this movie, and you said, "Oh, that movie that takes itself way too seriously." And so that kind of made me think. I was like, I never looked at this film that way. So I kind of watched it with that in mind, and I see where Ryan's coming from. I can see where that is.
To me, that's the reason why it's funny. Is you have like, especially like Russell Crowe and Gene Hackman's character of going, nothing scares me, and at the end it's like, I'm kind of scared. I love this feeling. It's just like, who says that?
I mean, I love Gene Hackman in this film.
Hold on a second. I mean, are we saying it's a good movie because we thought it was funny for being a shitty movie? Because I have to take into account intent. Like, what did these people intend this movie to be?
I think they intended it to be everything, and I think that's one of the reasons why. Like, I'm throwing in my 3.5 a little bit. It's because I found it funny, but I do think Ryan has a big point. It's like they wanted to be everything to everybody, and it comes off very half-cocked.
Well, I mean,
look, here's the thing: is once you understand what Sam Raimi is and what he's done, the Evil Deads, the Drag Me to Hell, Army of
Great
Darkness,
film. You guys gotta watch it.
first couple of Spider-Mans. I'm leaving out 3 because it sucked. But once you understand his sensibility, you kind of see where he's coming from on certain shots and certain, just composition and soundtracks. But again, I shouldn't have to be completely familiar with a director's body of work to enjoy something that he does.
And I do agree with you on that. And watching the movie, being like, okay, people are taking this seriously, because I never took it that way. But to look at it, you are right. There's multiple scenes where the characters seem like they're taking it very seriously. Like there's no like Mel Brooks comedy. There's no
Right, we were never told otherwise.
So so you're never told otherwise. You had to kind of read into it.
See, I think
I
for
kind of see that. And the scene between Gene Hackman and Keith David, come on. I mean, that was a very serious section.
I do think for Sam Raimi, this is inside baseball. This is something that you have to know him to even remotely understand the angle he started with this movie. Because you're right, this movie is kind of a jumble of everything.
Yeah.
Very comic booky.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the cast of this movie is unique. You have Keith David, which if you guys don't know who he is, you've heard his voice in everything.
Pretty much. It's a very distinct voice.
And I really
I have 2 words for you. I'm sorry, 3 words. Ass to ass.
And
That's a Requiem for a Dream reference, people.
Yeah,
and I really liked Leonardo DiCaprio. My favorite scene in this movie is when he was talking about the guns. Literally the only scene in this movie where I could actually take that character serious. Like, it's like, cool, this is good. He knows what he's talking about. God, it had a kind of a mishmash of cast, but I liked everybody.
It really did. And I mean, it's one of the roles I actually like Sharon Stone in. I mean, it wasn't as horrible as most of the chick flicks she did at the time.
So I was
she Showgirls too?
I don't remember. So I was actually I was reading the IMDb stuff, and one of the comments, one of the trivia, one of the comments, and I want to figure out like how long this dude was staring at the screen, because it was talking about the the one thing that stood about at the scene, she was sleeping on top of the dynamite, and she woke up, and the scene is, oh, this is not authentic to the period because of the underwear she was wearing. And I was
under the nightshirt.
yeah, I'm literally
She
thinking
was wearing underwear under the nightshirt.
See, I didn't, and it's like
I didn't know.
I was thinking this dude must have been on a computer, zoomed up to even remotely get a shot.
No,
of
he
that.
probably did it on the step by step when they first came out with that on DVD. See, like,
Well,
do I
there's
get to see a
Sharon Stone.
cross shot? Do I just watch Showgirls, dude?
That's the thing is once you've seen Basic Instinct, you're gonna step by step every
there's
moment
another
that,
one,
that
Basic
Sharon
Instinct.
Stone's on screen.
So I was just I'll probably just I'll lower my rating to 3 out of 5. It's still entertaining, but mainly because I'm a quasi Sam Raimi fan more than anything. I think this is more closer to Evil Dead than any actual Western. I mean, far as the feel of it.
No fucking way. How dare you put that in the same category?
Well, I'm not saying like exactly, but I think it does have the same comedy overtones in a way, just in a Western feel.
Right, and there was moments in Drag Me to Hell, which was one of the sort of lesser known Sam Raimi ones, came out a few years ago, probably
I liked it.
07, 08, something like that.
Yeah.
Where for the first half of the movie, I didn't realize I was watching a comedy, and then all of a sudden you get into those really specific Sam Raimi tropes, and I was like, oh, wait a second, who did this movie? This has to be Sam Raimi.
2009.
Because all of a sudden I started seeing shades of like Army of Darkness and.
You see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's certain things he does in every movie.
Yeah.
Right, but Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, you knew from fucking point one that was a comedy. This was a parody that was also creepy as shit, which was kind of what was really unique about those movies. But it was obviously a comedy. Like, you're trying to laugh at some of the things that are actually disturbing.
So what do you give this movie, Ryan?
Well, I almost brought it up to a 3 because of Sam Raimi, but then I again got upset because I shouldn't have to know everything about this director.
So what's your rating? 2.5?
2.5 is the most I can do on
I
this.
actually think that's really fair for a semi-confusing movie on its voice. Ryan, James, excuse me.
I'm sticking with a 3.5. I mean, I get enjoyment out of it, and I totally kept the thing with the comedy. I think it's hilarious. I think there's a lot of moments that make me laugh.
Okay, dude, how many movies have you seen, dude, that you can't? That you have to tell people like why you're laughing, like oh, I'm laughing because I'm a sick bastard, not because this is funny.
Well, Requiem for a Dream, for one.
Exactly. Like, you wouldn't tell somebody, hey, this is Requiem for a Dream. It's a really funny movie.
And kids.
Like,
This one, I'm not really going to spell it out for somebody, but when they look at me and I'm laughing and I'm like, dude, like, look, they're looking through his freaking body right now. Come on. It's if I'm laughing at a movie and the person next to me is not laughing at it, I'm at the theater with the wrong person.
yeah, it seems like a really half-assed version of like two or three different genres.
Hold on. James and I have watched movies together and have laughed and had the rest of the theater glare at us for laughing.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I just want to get a little context to this.
I swear I almost got an ass beating on the last Matrix.
Yeah, they were very pissed at us.
Just die!
So we do have a Facebook page. Is there a movie you want us to do? Do you love us, hate us? Just let us know. The other thing is we do now have an audio podcast. You can catch us on Stitcher, Podbean, and more.
Oh, and the Nazi comment was from me, so you guys can go ahead and throw more things at me.
And so I picked episode 1, season 1, episode 1 of The Expanse. The description of it is a police detective in the asteroid belt, the first officer, an interplanetary ice freighter, and an earthbound United Nations executive slowly discover a vast conspiracy, blah, 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 blah. I loved, the thing to me I think I liked best is the feel of this movie.
Yeah.
Because the police officer reminded me too much of Blade Runner. The Ice Pirates is semi rip-off of other things. Overall, I liked the series. I think I watched 6 episodes in a sitting.
Oh, well. Yeah, I'm going to definitely be watching
sitting,
more
you
of this.
said.
Yeah.
I don't do that often. I don't have time.
No, but yeah, I agree with John. I will be watching more of this.
No, have you heard about this?
I had heard about it before. I hadn't gotten around to it. I've got a long list of TV shows I keep up
Now,
with.
the only
But
reason
this is one that's getting on the list.
the only reason I heard about this was Adam Savage was kind of Tom Cruising about it. You know, he was jumping up and down about it, and I'm kind of glad I actually paid attention because I liked everything about this movie, and my favorite part is there people. It's really easy to tell who you hate.
Yeah.
You hate the United Nations lady,
Oh yeah, I definitely hate the United Nations.
the asteroid belt.
That's current, not future.
The Blade Runner guy, basically, his story was he grew up on the asteroid, but he became a cop. You can kind of see his sensibility of things. I really enjoyed everybody so far in this movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I like some of the theoretical physics they're throwing into it. That was very entertaining. The fact that they had to drug everyone on there to reach 6G's pulled out.
That was cool.
That was a pretty good little thing to throw in there.
I do like they didn't have the trope of the sleep chamber.
Oh,
so
yeah,
far,
yeah. That was,
which is something they do in every sci-fi. It's so far away, we're going to have to knock
Although
you
I
out.
did enjoy the way that they went about torturing the guy who hasn't ever been on Earth. The guy that was born, I think.
The gravity.
Yeah, the gravity torture that they were using on, that was pretty creative. I kind of thought that stuff was pretty interesting.
Did you watch this, Ryan?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I've been out of town for a few days, and I didn't actually get a chance to watch this. And I got home today. It's my girlfriend's birthday, and I started getting drunk.
Oh, happy birthday, Amber!
Happy
wait,
birthday,
we
Amber.
did that. Drink some wine.
But
She's the true voice of Ryan.
Much like you, John. I was looking forward to this because of Adam Savage's sort of testimony regarding it, and it would throw you off because of sci-fi or sci-fi as we like to call it. Because they haven't really put out anything that would suggest that they're into science fiction, the real hardcore genre.
Their version of sci-fi was Dune, the one with the rear projection walking.
God.
Right, but Adam Savage, everything I know about him, I mean, he's such a purist. When it comes to these things, I mean, he spent so many years at I think he was at ILM.
Yeah, he was a hard edge model maker.
Yeah.
Building props and sets and miniatures and things like that. So his sensibility for sci-fi has always, mirrored mine to a lesser extent, obviously. But
he's only
that
stoner
really
creative.
sold me. And I mean, it was always bandied about as this Game of Thrones in space, and I was the biggest fucking Battlestar Galactica fan.
Yeah, I got into that too.
It was the one that started, I want to say, 05 or something like that.
I was really surprised how much I liked that. Now, I haven't watched it since because I just don't have time, but I was really impressed. Ryan's right, it's very kind of soap opera-y in space, which I think lends itself very well to outer space genre.
Yeah,
well, you have to endear yourself to a character. It's true in anything, but sci-fi, you can't just throw a bunch of science at people and have it be interesting.
No,
it's gonna be interesting to 9 fucking people. So I'm really, really looking forward to watching this, especially after your reactions to it.
So who's your favorite character? Because mine actually is the Blade Runner guy, just because the fact that he's this jaded cop who kind of beats the crap out of people and gets away with it. But you can kind of see there's going to be something about his past that's going to kick up.
I would have to say I like the original XO. He's from Breaking Bad. He died within 10 minutes of the show. So I'm done. No, I'm kidding.
Damn, that's quick.
I would have to see. I kind of like the replacement XO, who was a lieutenant. He'll be an interesting one.
You mean the black lady?
No, she wasn't the XO. She was one of the. She was the repair lady or whatever. I know. I'm just giving you shit back. Anyways, but yeah, that's cool. I'd be interested to see where he goes with that character.
The Thomas Jane.
Yeah, but other than that, I kind of agree with you. The cop detective, but I'm not. I mean, for me, like, if we go back, we can all notice that I was not a big fan of Blade Runner. So I'm just curious kind of how they go with that. So
I do have to say that at least his role so far is going to be stereotypical, but honestly, for once, it doesn't bother me if they do it the right way. Stereotypes aren't bad in movies as long as it's not...
What, like him ending the show on his story as a getting a conscience.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, as long as it's not over the top ridiculous.
Well, look, some tropes in movies and TV get somewhat of a bad rap because they end up being tropes. They end up being something that's sort of bandied about in a ton of different TV and movies. But I've noticed a lot of things that can be seen are really just kind of human nature and things you would almost expect to see in situations in space or in a Western or in some distant land or something like that. Just kind of human traits that come out or interactions that always go a certain way. So some of those things are very forgivable. Beastar G did a ton of those things, but it fit with the human nature of it.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, next week is Ryan's pick. So, Ryan, you're up.
Shit. I'm like 3 sheets to the wind right now. I'm trying to think of something good.
Hold on.
Okay, James, give him a...
And for the 3rd week in a row, James comes in with the last minute suggestion for Ryan.
Original Italian Job.
Yeah, okay. I haven't seen that movie in fucking 20 years. Okay.
I love the pain voice, and yes.
You know what it was? That was me thinking like, oh, okay, and then I remembered the remake, and I almost threw up.
So it's the Italian Job made in 1969, starring Michael Caine and Benny Hill.
Yeah.
Does this mean I have to pick the TV show? Because I
have a TV show too.
I'll go.
Well, you bastard! I was gonna fucking pick The Expanse, you dick.
Oh, well,
we already did that one.
Yeah,
right?
so we're gonna do Penny Dreadful.
All right.
Okay, that's definitely one my girlfriend likes. She'll be happy to hear that.
So we'll do season 1, episode 1, since I like just doing the first episode.
All right, that's actually an interesting first episode.
So, ladies and gentlemen, hold on, I got to bring up my notes. I gave Quick and the Dead a 3 to 5. James gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Ryan gave it a 2.5 out of 5. Next week, it's the original
Italian Job made in 1969
and season 1 episode of Penny Dreadful. And as always, thank you for watching.